Hi everybody, I'm Kenya and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today is the first day of Ramadan. So today I want to talk about this book called Poverty by America, written by Matthew Desmond. Now he also wrote a book called Evicted that I also read that I enjoyed. Let's get into Poverty by America and why I think it's a great read. So in this country, we always hear that the system was set up for the rich to be rich and the poor to be poor and black people to definitely be at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? We hear this time and time again. There's this saying, right? You want to keep the truth from an N-word, put it in a book. Now the saying is like you want to keep the truth from a fool, put it in a book, but the real word was the N-word. This is why I feel like reading is very important, and we live in an information age and you can find out anything you want to just by reading. Like, I feel like we're so much in an information age, and this is one reason why Congress or the government wants to shut down and ban TikTok, because TikTok is like a world of just information, the truth, you know, not just what our school system, you know, they want us to know, our kids to know. In this book, he basically talks about how there are systems in place that rich people benefit from. But when rich people benefit from these systems, they're not, you know, demonized for it like poor people are. For instance, I work for a huge real estate company in New York City. So my job is compliance. I work in the asset management department, and my job literally is to help developers get as much of a tax break as they can. So already rich people, we're helping them to keep as much money as they can and that they don't have to pay towards taxes. You get what I'm saying? So this week we were having a meeting, and one of my coworkers was like, yeah, we got to get a hold on one of our properties because that could cost us $500,000 just for the year. Okay, just for the year. You know, rich people, they have the resources to hire lawyers, they can get through the loopholes. We see that Donald Trump hadn't paid taxes for years. Jeff Bezos is a billionaire and is not paying taxes. So when you have money and access, you can basically do what you want. But when you are poor and you are accessing those same benefits that the government gives to you, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, you're poor, you're lazy, you don't want to work, you living off the government. It's like you're demonized for doing essentially what rich people do and get away with it. You get what I'm saying? When you think about government assistance, food stamps, Medicaid, housing, resources, I feel like so many other countries have these resources. Their citizens benefit from it. Their citizens aren't over there overworking like we are. They get more vacation days than we do to just enjoy life. I feel like as Americans, when we voice the fact that, you know, we want more vacation time, we want a healthy work-life balance, we're lazy. And we normally hear this from the older generation. I'm a millennial, so I feel like boomers are always telling millennials and Gen Zers like, y'all are lazy, all y'all do is complain. But are we? Or do we just want to like enjoy our lives? Years ago, I posted a video on this YouTube channel and I was talking about housing or whatever. A man commented how he would never be on Section 8 and how he worked 2 and 3 jobs, and at the time him and his pregnant girlfriend was living in a cockroach infested apartment. And I'm reading the comment thinking like, so you would rather work 2 to 3 jobs, run yourself into the ground, and have your woman and your unborn child in a cockroach infested apartment just so you could say that you're not on government benefits? Like, I feel like US citizens have been so brainwashed not to take advantage of government benefits that you will suffer when you need it. And I'll just say this, so we live in a capitalistic society, a capitalistic country, right? So the capitalists, they rely on you to make money, okay? And if you are not making money, then the capitalists are not getting paid. So of course, the capitalists are going to demonize you for not working as hard as a slave would back in the day because they can't make money off of you. And if you don't think we live in a capitalistic country, we live in a country where prison systems are private. There is something called convict leasing. If you don't know what it is, use your Googles, hunty. After this video, type it into the search bar on YouTube, okay? Where people own these private prisoners and they are making money off of free prison labor. You do your taxes, you can get earned income credit, child tax credit, like just to boost your income taxes. And I was watching free tax there's a YouTube channel, it's something about free tax, and there's an Asian guy. He basically put out a video today basically saying there is like a $10,000 tax break for homeowners. Now we know that there's a company called BlackRock who brought up a good percentage of properties around the country. And it's like rich people and capitalists, they create like these tax breaks and certain laws to benefit other rich people. And so with that being said, it's like, is that $10,000 tax break really to benefit homeowners, or is it to benefit the capitalists who are investing in all of these properties, these large conglomerates and corporations? My mind has changed about government programs, social programs. So the lady down the street who has Section 8, she might have food stamps and Medicaid. That's nothing. What she's receiving from the government is nothing. It's nothing on an annual basis. That's nothing compared to how rich people are able to benefit from tax breaks and just loopholes in the system. If one developer can benefit from a $500,000 tax break that owns multiple properties, like, when you look at the bigger picture, it's like, whoa, like what she's getting is like nothing, okay? Even with education, I talked about this in another video about how college was free up until the 1970s. Then Ronald Reagan's advisors said, hey, we need to start charging for college, because if not, we're going to have like a society full of educated proletariats. And a proletariat is basically a working class person. And obviously in 2024, we are a society full of highly educated proletariats. If you could go on TikTok and see like people that just love to read or research, and they're just sharing all their knowledge with the masses, and that could be dangerous for the capitalists, because the more we know, the worse it is for them. Back to Ronald Reagan. Sorry, I be going off on tangents, but back to Ronald Reagan. So his advisor advised him, like, we gonna have a bunch of educated proletariats. And so then Ronald Reagan was like, hey, we gonna start to charge for college because it's gonna keep out the, you know, undesirables. We know what undesirables, who they are exactly. A lot of these decisions are made to keep black people at the bottom of the caste system. And if you're someone who is watching this and you're thinking like, why do black people always have to put race into everything? When you are black, everything is about race. When you are black like me, everything is about race. But when you are black, people are constantly doing and saying things to remind you that you are black, or just the constant microaggressions that I have had to endure in my lifetime. So let's talk about healthcare. So watch this clip right here.
Published a book called Race, Tendencies, and Traits of the American Negro, in which he lays out all the numbers, and then he concludes that if we simply avoided allowing black people to have any access to health care, that within 2 or 3 generations, the whole race would die out, and that would solve the race problem in America. When Teddy Roosevelt, 1912, proposed a national health care system, you know, people said no because black people will get it. When Franklin Roosevelt proposed a national healthcare system, it was the same thing. We don't want black people to get it. When Truman tried it in 1947, same thing. Don't want black people to get it. We have to figure out a way to keep black people from using Medicare. And the way that they came up with was to have a 20% hole, a gap in Medicare, so that you had to pay 20% of your doctor's bill and your hospital bill, and that would discourage poor black people from showing up at the hospitals. Nearly 100% of the reason why the United States is the only country in the world that doesn't define healthcare as a right is because of racism.
It's crazy to know that the reason why we don't have universal healthcare like other countries is because the government does not want black people to have it. Their goal is, if we don't offer health insurance, then we'll die out in 2 generations. Huh? And we hear of like eugenicists like Charles Darwin and such, who have done experiments, you know, on black people, medical experience, unbeknownst to them. And it's just a way of just eliminating us, you know. And it's like crazy. Like, what would y'all do without black people? Like, we just make everything much better. Why y'all trying to wipe us out? So we all know about the Tuskegee experiment, right? They also did that in South America to South Americans. It was an experiment in Cabrini projects where they sprayed whoa, was that fireworks? Where they sprayed like a chemical in the air around the neighborhood. And now I was reading something last night on the internet when I was trying to put this video together. There have been lawsuits for medical reparations for communities who have been affected by government experiments done on black people you know, just at black people's expense, you know. And this is something that has not just been going on in the US, but all around the world. Even in Israel, they were sterilizing Ethiopian women unbeknownst to their knowledge. You get to learn that your health insurance was tied to your employer. The system is designed where it's set up to where you have to work in order to receive medical benefits. And even with our health benefits, we still, it's just not as good, I feel like, as universal health care in other countries, because every pay period, what happens? Have a good amount of money taken out of our checks, unless you work for like the government, where health insurance is pretty much free, or if you have a family, it's pretty cheap. And then we get to the doctor, we still have to pay our co-pays. We have to pay co-pays for prescriptions. And I made a TikTok video about how I have very bad asthma, and how when I went to order my prescriptions online, it asked me, do I want to pay at once or do I want to break it up? Like, it was like a Klarna type of thing, but like for healthcare. To know that some people's prescriptions are so expensive they have to break it up into different payments is crazy. All because the government and the powers that be don't want black people to have it and to benefit from it. Let's talk about public housing. A lot of these housing rules of you need pay stubs and all of this stuff, that was designed to keep black people out of certain neighborhoods. And I'm someone who rented apartments for 7 years. There's still housing discrimination to this day. I'm going to keep it 100. How do I know? Because anytime I would rent apartments to black people who were well qualified, they passed the background check, they had the income, everything the landlord asked, I was always asked when it was a black person, well, what kind of black person are they? Are they hip hop? Like, it's not enough that they passed all the requirements. Now you're still asking questions as to bar them from this apartment. And I feel like that's happened to me before. I'll discuss that another time. Public housing was designed as affordable housing with white families in mind. So during World War II is when I feel like that's when public housing started to, like, high-rise buildings for public housing started to go up. Now, a lot of people were migrating from like the South to like the areas in the North and like California, where there were ammunition plants where they were making like weapons to supply the war, and just all types of things in general for the war, if you get what I'm saying. And white families migrated to these areas and they were given housing, but when black families migrated to these areas, they were able to work at these jobs, but like not really get into management positions. But they were also barred from living in public housing with white people. After World War II, people started to move to the North as well. Detroit, the Motor City, Chicago, because they were getting jobs in, like, you know, factories or the auto plants and things like that. When black people were able to integrate into these public housing systems with the white people, then the Section 8 was created, aka now we call it the Housing Choice Voucher, so that white people were able to secure housing in suburban neighborhoods with a housing voucher, so that they did not have to live amongst Negroes, aka black people. And then once that happened, you know, housing started to go down. Now everything is going down. Is it because black people don't know how to act and they wild banshees and animals? Most likely not. After a while, when you're living somewhere and your landlord isn't doing anything about it and everything's just going down, after a while, people just ain't gonna care. I feel like this book was a great eye-opener into poverty was basically created by the American government. They need to keep certain people in a certain place so that the capitalists can continue to get rich. In short, I know that was not short, but this is just a great glimpse into how poverty is by design. It's by design. If you are a socialist like myself and you're into like social issues and things like that, I feel like this will be a good book to pick up. It's a really quick read, not bad at all. He has his sources in here, he's done his research, and this is just a quick glimpse into our government and how poverty is by design. And so this also changed my mindset on a lot of things. A lot of the times I speak on things out of privilege. I know a lot of people think, well, this black person made it, these black people made it, why can't other black people make it? That's a whole other video, okay? A whole other video. Like, when you come from a family where you have a little extra money to help you get further in life, I'm telling you, that makes a big of a difference. in this world. But if you literally have nothing, you come from the trenches, it's so much harder to get ahead in life. So much harder. So if you made it to the end of this video, I would like to thank you guys for coming to kick it with me, and I will see you guys in my next YouTube video. Toodle.